Ciao belli, today we are trying to do something different. I never done it before, but it seems nice to try, and this is going to be my 10 cards that are going to impact standard the most. Of the new set, of course, Tarkir Dragonstorm. And they are not in any order. We are going to talk a little bit about all of them, but yeah, these are the 10 cards that I feel they are going to have some kind of impact on decks that already exist, or even creating new possibilities. And why don't start with the biggest and strongest planeswalker that we're going to have, which is Yugin, Eye of the Storm, legendary planeswalker, 7 in non-color mana. When you cast this spell, exile up to one target permanent that's one or more colors. Whenever you cast a color spell, exile up to one target permanent that's one or more color. +2, you gain 3 life and draw a card. 0, you have a dark ritual for color mana. And -11, you start at 7. So at best is going to be on the third turn, is going to be on the battlefield. Search your library for any number of colorless non-land cards, exile them, then shuffle. Until the end of the turn, you might cast those cards without paying their mana cost. So why this card is going to be good? Because we have a lot of ramp in standard, and it's a 7 mana card. If Up the Beanstalk doesn't get banned, it's going to draw a card when it enters, and it pretty much says play it and exile a permanent, and you gain 3 life and draw a card at the minimum. At the minimum. If you have another uncolored spell and you have plenty in the meta that you can play, like even the new one that we're going to see later is pretty much saying you pretty much exile 2 permanents an opponent controls. So this is really strong. I feel it's going to be an auto include at least a 2 pair in all the big decks. The only downside in which respect of the other big cards that are played in the Bean style ramp decks is that is not usable discounted. Since all the Lords, Rise Ends, all these cards that seem, even the black spell in the Golgari graveyard are good because they can be discounted, and so they are super good. Leyline Binding, for example, they are super good because they can be discounted. Yugin doesn't look like it can be discounted, but it's a powerhouse, and it's going to be played in standard strongly, not only as soon as it comes out, but I think you will see a lot of competitive play. Plus, if you ever ultimate this, in 3 years of standard, you are going to break it so bad. So bad. You're going to have so much mana, you're going to have so much stuff to do. You can play one pair of a lot of artifacts that are going to be super strong. The Nexus of Becoming, the Discover one from the Cavern Mixer, and you choose. You put one of each in the deck, and they are going to be just super very strong. So this is why I like this card. I think in other formats it's going to be even stronger, but it is strong enough for standard to see play. Talking about Planeswalker, this one too will see play for sure. Elspeth Stormslayer, 5 mana, 2 white. If one or more token will be created under your control, twice that many of those tokens are created instead, so this is already pretty good. We have a ton of tokens going around in standard, especially the mono white token deck. It's already super strong. I'm looking at the Overlord, I'm looking at Caretakers, the enchantment, the saga enchantment, carrot cake. You tell me, there are plenty of token generators that are super good. +1, create a white 1/1 white soldier creature token. So this one reads create 2 1/1 white creature token. The zero ability is put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. Those creatures gain flying until your next turn. This is the mode that scare me the most. I mean, that I consider the fastest, because now it's a real finisher of this kind of deck, because putting a +1/+1 counter on each creature and giving them flying, this is a finisher. This is a finisher even for a convoke deck, let's say. So it's true that, like, I think this card will see play not only in the token deck, but also in the convoke deck, that, by the way, happens also to be token style decks. And then the -3 is that you can also play, like when it comes out, it destroy target creature on opponent control with mana value 3 or greater. So it's also act as a removal if needed. This card is an all around, is really, really strong, protects himself quite well, putting 2 creatures on the board when it enters, and it has the zero ability, which I think it's a very, very good finisher for the wide strategy. So I think Elbas Stormslayer is going to improve both convoke and tokens mono white style deck. Speaking of white, the card I like the most of the entire set is Voice of Victory. Voice of Victory is a creature, human bard, that has a new ability in Mobilize 2, a new mechanics. Whenever this creature attacks, create 2 tapped and attack to +1/+1 red warrior creature tokens. Sacrifice them at the beginning of the next end step. Your opponent can cast a spell during your turn. So this card is a Great Abolisher, a soft Great Abolisher, plus has this mechanic to create creatures and attack with them. This card is going to be played vastly. I think it's going to be played in any kind of aristocratic deck that want sacrifice fodder and want the permanent to be sacrificed. Is going to be played in combo deck when you want to protect your combo. For example, Omniscience combo is going to find place, I think, for these cards, at least in the sideboard, since it's going to protect your combo from counterspell really, really well. And also is going to be played in wide strategy, like, for example, if not convoke, but also convoke, kind of, right? Because if you play these, you have 2 more body on the battlefield that attack. If you have the case active, you're going to get +1/+1, and also I think it's going to play super well with a couple of Boros cards, like, for example, Arabella or the Wanderer's Call, the enchantment that not only gives +1/+1 to your creature, but also has an impact tremor effect. So thanks to this card, which is only 2 mana, it's not legendary creature, so you can put 4 in your deck. That pretty much creates free body when it attacks. It is going to be really, really, really strong. Plus, we will have to see if the Mardu Mobilize deck comes into fruition. If with the Zardu or the other new cards, these tokens won't be sacrificed at the end of the turn, it can become even more powerful and create its own deck. So I think a Voice of Victory, we are going to see it in a wide variety of decks in Standard, and I can't wait to try it in my Hordes of Legend. I think it's going to be a very, very nice add to the deck. And but I didn't put it on the beginning. I think this is the most important, most interesting, most exciting card that we're going to get in Standard. This is Mox Jasper. So it's a Mox. It's a card that comes down with 0 mana. It's an artifact that says add 1 mana of any color, activate only if you control a dragon. So of course it's going to be super hard to activate fast, but playing 4 copies of it in your deck is going to speed up so much of your strategies. Why? Because we see it in Hugin. You play Hugin, you keep this card behind, you play it right away. This acts as a removal spell. Because activate prowess with 0 mana. So I think this, for how weird it sound, can even find play in more aggro build. Maybe not mono red, but why not? If we find a red dragon with 3 mana that has an acceptable bodies, I think this card can see play with all the prowess that deck can provide. And if you go Izzet style, like artifact deck, this is going to be even more interesting. Plus, we have affinity cards in standard, and having a Mox in it, maybe even being able to activate with some of the dragon that in the Esper color, let's say, that are more the most affinity type of cards that they are going to be. It's going to count for 2 mana, right? So it's even possible to have pretty much a turn 1 free mana of your land, Mox Jasper plus a dragon, right? And it's not going to be super easy to activate fast, but if this is going to stay 3 years in standard, if from now to 2028 we're going to see a dragon that is 2 or 3 mana that is playable, we're going to have a very, very, very interesting, super strong card. I think this is not only going to be a card for mid-range and more controlling matchup decks, but can also work really well in fast deck. I can't wait to see him in action. It has a lot. It has a lot that goes within. And the history of Magic, if something teach us, is that spells that you can cast for 0 are always broken, and if they are not broken, Magic player will find a way to break it. So Mox Jasper, yeah, that's going to be a big hit. That's the biggest of the hit, I think, of the Tarkir Dragonstorm, and is the one that is going to have the biggest impact through standard, going back to older formats. But yeah, Mox Jasper is going to be a powerhouse. Anyway, the village cycle lands are all going to be played, I think, one or the other. I think the Mysteries Village is the strongest. It's not me saying it, a lot of people are saying it. I think there are plenty of them that can be played. I think the white one is going to be played. I think the red quad, which is the Impulse one, it's a bit expensive, but it's going to be played. And the fact that they are going and this one is just really, really good for what he's trying to do. Again, with combo decks, Omniscience combo is the one that comes into mind, but there are, I'm sure there are plenty. This card is really, really strong. This card reads, the land enter tapped unless you control a mountain or a forest. So this is the Timur land, let's say, but it taps for blue. And then you say 1 blue and tap, so 2 mana. The next spell you cast this turn can be countered. This is so important and so strong that it's going to be real. It's such a unique effect. It's pretty much a Cavern of Soul for spell, which is really, really, really strong. And it's going to be at its best in combos deck. And yeah. So that's there's not much more to say. This is a utility land that will see a lot of play, and the easiest way to find it in standard is going to be an auto include in the Omniscience combo deck. So This is not a dragon, it's a snake, but I think it is a really good one. I think this is one of the strongest tool that is going to be used in this Sultai base deck. And let's read this. The Funkeeper's Familiar is a 4 mana creature, Sultai. When these creatures enter, choose one, you gain 3 lives and surveil free. Destroy target enchantment, counter target creature spell. So this card is perfect for the meta that there is right now in standard. The base mode is already super strong. Playing it on 4, you stay open, you play it, and you gain 3 life, surveil free. Surveilling free is not only like pretty much drawing like a card, but you surveil, so you put stuff in your graveyard, and there are plenty of decks that now wants cards into your graveyard. And surveil free goes quite deep. There are just cards that surveil, put 3 or 4 cards in the on the graveyard, and you play them. So having that attached to a body, it's so important. And the other two mode are really strong, right? You destroy target enchantment, or you even counter target creature spell. So it has utilities in a lot of matchups, and therefore is going to see a lot of plays. I don't think only in sideboard. So this card generally are the Trillbot Fire Rider, whatever it's called, the 4 mana dinosaur in green that you can add 1 green to make stuff happen, like exile the graveyard and so on. That's a perfect sideboard card, right? But the fact that the first mode here reads you gain 3 life and surveil free makes it good, even for, I think, good enough at least for to play in some kind of more controlly Sultai's base deck. And if you have a graveyard synergy, that's just chef's kiss, right? So really strong, really useful card. Maybe not as flashy as the other one we saw before, but a super good card. And then there is something that we are all a bit scared of, right? This is a Roiling Dragonstorm. There are going to be, this is a cycle, there is going to be a Dragonstorm enchantment for each color, right? And this one is the blue one that says when this enchantment enters, draw 2 cards, then discard 1 card. And when a dragons you control enter, return this enchantment to its owner end. The second mode is really nice if you play a dragon deck, but you don't need dragons deck to play to abuse of this card, right? Because we have a standard that has Pixie, that has this town ain't big enough. There's fears of isolation. So adding a tool that is going to allow you to draw and filters your select your card on top of your Hopeless Nightmare, on top of your Nowhere to Run, on top of your Storm Chasing Talent, and so on, is going to make the deck even stronger. So this is going to be an auto-include in all the Pixie-based deck. It's also an enchantment, so the kind of decks that run the Tracker, that run the 1 mana white creatures that put +1/+1/+1 on creatures when an enchantment enters the battlefield are going to synergize very well with Roiling Dragonstorm, and this is just a really good card. It would be just a good card without the second line of text. That's just flavor at this point in the current standard meta. So a big card for one of the strongest archetypes or family of archetypes that we already have and are auto-include in a lot of them. And then we have something that I was surprised to see at uncommon level, and I think is going to be the mythic uncommon of the set. Let's read it together. It's a Keru Goldkeeper. It's another Sultai, this time a dragon, 4 mana, Sultai. Flying, whenever 1 or more cards leave your graveyard during your turn, create a treasure token. So, and then as their new mechanic that for 5 mana, 2 plus Sultai, exile this card from your graveyard, put 2 +1/+1 counter and fly counter on target creature, activate only as a sorcery. It's not really the second mode that it's interesting as much as the first one. The first one say that like whenever one or more cards leave your graveyard during your turn, you create a treasure token. It doesn't say 1 per turn. A lot of this card nowadays says 1 per turn, right? 1 time per turn. And this one doesn't say it. So in Insidious Root style deck, this card is going to generate tons of mana. And I'm sure you are going to create loop. It's going to be possible to create loop. I didn't consider it. Maybe in standard there is not already one, but there is going to be. And the sheer value that you are going to create with this, put it together with some kind of a draw engine or creating with Insidious Roots, for example, that you create the plants. Token is going to be really strong. So Keru Goalkeeper, it's an uncommon, but I think it's going to be one of the strongest card for this kind of graveyard synergy deck, and it's going to be broken sooner or later. And it's crazy to me that it's just an uncommon. It's really powerful, I feel. Speaking about graveyard, let's go to a card that, if I understand well, is going to in that kind of Insidious Root style of deck, is going to combo, right? Because these cards is pretty much a pod for graveyard. Let's read it together. Sidisi, Regent of the Mire, 2 mana, 1 black. Tap, sacrifice a creature you control with mana value X other than Sidisi. Return target creature card with mana value X +1 from your graveyard to the battlefield. Activate it only as a sorcery. So if you have Agatha Soul Cauldron and Insidious Root that puts +1/+1 on creature, and you get able to put one of the Sidisi on the Agatha Soul Cauldron, all your plans are going to have that ability. And if you can fill your graveyard with creatures, you are going to generate so much value that you are going to eventually win the game. The plant will sacrifice for 0, so it's going to be 1 drop. You can fill your deck with 1 drop creatures, and you're going to have these creatures have also hasted. Thanks to the cards that are in the Insidious Root deck. This can be really a good combo, and is going to be played, I feel, in that deck. That is already been, it's always been fringe playable in standard. Always feel that it was missing some pieces, but with the last 2 cards that I'm seeing here, that I'm reading, I feel is really going to do some stuff. And so yeah, I really like this card. The fact that you can activate only at sorcery speed, of course, it's a minus, but I can see how, if you have a graveyard fill of a creature and maybe an aristocrat pieces, and with an Agatha Soul Cauldron, this can really do a lot of damages. And the last card I want to talk about is the only card I feel is going to see sooner or later play in red, mono red, that now it's super strongly focus on the mice package of Bloomborrow, right? And it's Tarkir Dragon Ascendant. When Sarkhan enters, you might behold a dragon. If you do, create a treasure token. So the cool thing about this, so behold these new mechanics, that to behold a dragon, choose a dragon you control, or reveal a dragon card from your hand. So this in the proper deck reads it's a 2/2 that creates a dragon, and also whenever a dragon you control enters, put a +1/+1 counter on Sarkhan until the end of the turn. Sarkhan becomes a dragon in addition to its other type and gain flying. So this is a way to start to consider to have red-based aggro deck with Mox Jasper and dragons. At the moment in standard there are not many strong dragons. There is Terror of the Peak that is the strongest, I feel, and the fact that Sarkhan can ramp into it, it's really important. Plus it looks like red is going to have also Mana Dark, so that is going to be also something to keep in mind. And for more resilient red kind of decks, let's don't call it big red, but maybe mid-range red decks, Sarkhan can be really a key piece, helping you both ramping and providing you with the power of activating also the Jasper, the Mox Jasper, and the other card with Dragon synergy. So yeah, these are the cards that I feel are going to be the most interesting, that are going to enter in standard, if not in deck that already exist in new decks. I didn't go on the big dragons that for sure can do stuff, but I feel that these are already a good starting point for to explore, and that I'm going to try anyway when Tarkir is going to release. So this was a first try of a video. I ran for 30 minutes now, and I presented 10 cards. These at least were my picks, and let me guys know what you think. There is something for sure that I miss. You don't agree with any of the cards that I said, please let me know in the comments. And thank you if you are listening till now. It's been a pleasure to talk with you. Like a comment, and if you feel a champ, subscribe to the channel. We are so few that even one more is going to make my day. Anyway, thank you so much for listening to me, and I see you in the next video. For now, ciao ciao.